In this Spiritfire video, we're going to go over some of the game's key systems and mechanisms so that you have a better understanding of what the game is like at its various stages of play. This video assumes that you have a basic understanding of the game concept. We walk through this in our Spiritfire introduction video, which we will link in the description below. This is not a full playthrough video, but you should come away with a strong grasp of what the core mechanisms are and how they fit into the big picture of Spiritfire. The cards we're showing in this video are placeholders, so there won't be any spoilers. Okay, so in Spiritfire, you'll initially go through a character creation process that will customize your character's starting discipline deck and fill in some backstory to help you set your character's purpose and overarching objectives for their journey. After this is complete, you'll enter a game tutorial in the first realm, which is included in your character box. The first thing you'll notice is that the realm map is modular. Having the map revealed in sections allows the environment to change dynamically. Not only will you flip realm cards face up when you move on to them, but you'll sometimes replace map sections with new cards based on events that happen in the story, and those will be based on the choices that you've made. For example, if you were to build a bridge across this ravine, you might open a pack of cards that replaces this map card with the same ravine, showing a bridge that can be traversed. Exploration is a huge part of this game. When you start the game, you'll have several decks of encounter cards, differentiated by a triangle, circle, or diamond icon. Encounters are things that happen to you as you move through the realm. As you move on to map spaces with these icons, you'll expend one Spark of Life card from your Spark deck to see if you've triggered an encounter. If you have active Spiritfire dice equal to or greater than the small dice icons on the Spark of Life card, an encounter challenge is triggered. We'll talk about challenges in a moment. Upon completion, some encounters will reward you with a milestone icon like this. Some quests will grant milestone icons as well. Milestones can represent many things. Some are permanent representations of your achievements in the realm, and they are used to track progress through the various quest chains. Others track various conditions or statuses of elements of the realm, and encounters or characters behave differently depending on the milestones. For example, just how angry are the forest creatures? As milestones are earned, they are placed into this milestone track, which you'll refer to as you unlock and pursue realm quests. You'll start each realm with a face-up stack of available realm quests. These cards can be pursued whenever you're interested in them, provided you've met the requirements on the front of the card. Some will simply ask you to find a location or a person somewhere in the realm. Others will have a milestone requirement. For example, this card requires 2 feather icons and a traveler icon in your milestone track before you can turn the card over and attempt to complete it. The feather icons could represent reputation with a certain group of people, or a number of exotic birds that you've studied. The traveler icon could represent finding an informant, or making yourself some kind of disguise. It could be almost anything. The realm progression is a key component of working through the realm, unlocking its secrets, and discovering everything that it might have to offer. Many quests result in the opening of packs that contain story cards that advance the narrative based on your choices, new quests, new encounters, map replacement cards, pieces of the map. Keep in mind that your milestone progression in some story arcs might be a digression in others. For example, if you've gained too much reputation with one person, their arch enemy might not want to talk to you at all. During character creation, you'll draft and customize your own starter deck of discipline cards. This deck represents everything you've learned and what you're capable of. You'll be playing from a hand of these cards to perform and boost most of your actions in the game, moving, drawing, rolling dice, and so forth. This is one of the primary systems in the game, and you'll want to revise and tweak your deck often because many of the challenges will require tinkering your build in order to be successful. There is no optimal deck for every situation, which is why you'll have the option to swap cards in and out of your deck every time you rest. At no point will you need a particular card in order to successfully complete a challenge. The majority of the quests have been designed with a try until you succeed type of mentality. So there are limitless ways to pass those challenges without sacrificing how you're wanting to tailor your character. A lot of emphasis has been placed on this during the design process, and the intention is to let players play how they want to play without feeling pressure to Google what other people think is the most effective build or race through the game. Will people do this anyway because they think that's fun? Sure, but it's really not necessary. This is a game about taking your time, thinking through your choices, and enjoying the textures and flavors that this game has to offer. As you complete quests and story arcs, you'll find yourself constantly opening card packs. These packs will give you access to more and more disciplines to choose from, experiment with, and eventually synergize with your various deck builds. Sometimes those cards will go right into your available disciplines, meaning that you can use them right after your next rest. Some of them will go into your potential, meaning that you will need to unlock them using Flicker. Most of the things you encounter in the game will enter into your potential, which is a space filled with everything you could learn more about and choose to unlock. You can't pursue everything at once, so you'll maintain a number of cards in this area of the map, called your active pursuits. The mechanism used to unlock the cards you're pursuing here is called Flicker. Flicker is your personal experience in Spiritfire. It represents the little bits of insight and understanding that you glean from the world around you. As you gain Flicker, which happens as a reward from completing quests, for reaching further on encounters, as bonuses in challenge spreads, and even from playing certain discipline cards, you'll draw these horizontal and vertical lines onto your Flicker pad, forming a series of squares. When the pattern on your pad matches the mental map of one of your pursuits, you've unlocked that card, and it moves from your potential into your readily available cards. You'll use this process to unlock conduits, gain Spark of Life cards, and also overcome the burdens that haunt you. Burden cards represent the negative effects of your choices, things that you wrestle with from your past, and things that weigh you down. You'll start the game with a burden that will be revealed as part of your character's creation, and the choices you make in the game will sometimes result in gaining new burdens. When they surface, they generally have a detrimental effect on the game space and take up precious space in your capacity. All of your active burdens are required to be shuffled into your discipline deck, so they'll be drawn and trigger their negative effect time and time again, becoming increasingly difficult to deal with until you're able to eventually overcome them through various opportunities that the game will give you. The secrets to overcoming burdens are part of your journey, out there in the world, waiting for you to discover them. In Spiritfire, you rely on what you have learned instead of what you have equipped. On your journey, you will discover a vast array of objects, creatures, and abstract forces that have been touched by Spiritfire. It could be a glowing leaf. It could be a mysterious creature that you form a bond with. It could be a constellation in the night sky that guides you. These are potential conduits, things that you could form connections with. As you come into contact with these things, they become part of your potential, meaning that you can choose to form those connections using Flicker. Once these connections have been made, they give you access to effects and abilities that you could not generate on your own, so long as you have the required Spiritfire burning at the time. You can only maintain 2 of these connections at one time, so your active conduits become an important part of your deck building decisions. As is generally the case with things you can't entirely control, conduits always come with a few quirks, cards that are added to your deck that cause unexpected things to occur when they are drawn. These oddball effects are sometimes helpful, sometimes less so, but always they are filled with personality and charm. They don't always take space in your capacity, but they often happen at awkward times. The more you get to know your conduits, the more you'll start to adapt to these behaviors happening, use them to your advantage, and hopefully find them endearing. Each discipline is attuned to one or more of the 4 aspects of Spiritfire, which are illumination, intensity, transmutation, and awe. Each of these aspects have special abilities that appear on some of the discipline cards of that color. Illumination represents the light of understanding, awareness, clarity, and mental mastery. Illumination disciplines revolve around mental attributes, giving you greater options to choose from. Some of these disciplines have a special ability called Reflect, which allows you to shuffle certain cards back into your deck from your discard pile. Intensity represents power, energy, vigor, and physical prowess. Intensity disciplines revolve around physical attributes, giving you more stamina, resistances to bad things happening, increased movement, and those types of things. Some of these disciplines have an ability called Amplify. The Amplify ability allows you to increase the yield of your next resolve action, which we will talk about later. Transmutation represents conversion, transformation, mutation, and emotional or relational capabilities. Transmutation disciplines revolve around information exchange, transforming things from one type to another, shifting things around, moving things to other spaces, and so on. Some of these disciplines have a special ability called Convert, which allows you to change your burning spirit fire dice to the type of your choice. And finally, Awe represents wonder, the mysterious unknown, the inexplicable, the miraculous, and spiritual finesse. Awe disciplines revolve around connection to the world around you, bending rules, ignoring requirements, and other magical effects. Some of these disciplines have a special ability called Echo. The Echo ability is like a doppelganger ability, allowing you to clone the burning ability of another discipline card. Key disciplines are specialized cards with this key symbol, which unlock various content gates you'll face in encounters and quests, and sometimes on the map. Some challenges have locked areas that you cannot access unless you have the key disciplines to guide you through these more nuanced situations. Playing a key discipline allows you to pass through this keyword lock to access other paths to different rewards or outcomes, kind of like locked treasure rooms in your mind. The more you explore, the more you gain. Almost every action you do in the game is triggered by using discipline cards. Discipline cards are played into your capacity, which consists of 10 card slots organized into 2 columns of 5. Your capacity represents how much your character can mentally handle in the moment. When you can no longer play cards into your capacity, either because it's full or your deck has been depleted, you will need to take a rest action. And you don't want to do this unless you have to, because it will end your current challenge and exhaust all of your spirit fire. Disciplines have no cost to play. You can play any discipline at any time. When you play a discipline, there are 2 potential things that happen. You always take one of the 4 main actions, which we'll cover in a moment, and you trigger the card's burning effect if you qualify. The main text in this white area is called the burning effect, and it has a simple prerequisite. If you have active spirit fire dice matching all of the color aspects on the card, you may use the burning effect. Here's a really basic example. Let's say you play Diligent Hands. If you have intensity burning, you may draw a flicker line on your pad. The tactics and strategy behind this mechanism starts to become very nuanced and exciting when you also take into account the order in which you play your disciplines, which column you play them in, how they combo off of each other, and how this sets off burning effects and also triggers your resolve. Okay, so what's resolve? In the upper right of your dashboard, you'll see these 4 action tracks with marbles on them. These tracks measure the strength and direction of your current resolve toward the 4 main actions. And the values of those tracks tell you how much of that action you can currently do. The Ignite action lets you roll dice to gain spirit fire. The Push action lets you move your map marker or your challenge ring. The Focus action lets you draw cards from your discipline deck. And the Clear action lets you clear cards out of your capacity. This is like clearing your mind so that you can play more disciplines before you have to rest. So, for example, if your current Focus marble is at 3, when you choose to focus, you will draw 3 cards. If the marble were at 2, you draw 2 cards. You can do any of these 4 actions with any discipline card. You are never stuck. Each time you play a discipline card into your capacity, 2 things will happen in the order of your choice. You'll trigger one of those 4 resolve actions on your dashboard, and you will also check to see if you qualify for the card's burning effect. These actions can affect each other, boosting results or creating various combos to generate additional bonus effects. Most encounters and quests will send you to a coil-bound book of challenging minigames for you to perform with your card play. These represent your internal processing of whatever it is you're experiencing, determine how that experience affects you, and how well you succeed at the thing that you're doing. Maybe you just encountered something terrifying, or something incredibly profound, and you're simply determining how much that experience impacts you. These quests and encounters will use your challenge ring to traverse through the puzzle, avoiding traps and picking up bonuses along the way. There are dozens and dozens of wildly different challenge spreads. Each one is designed to create the dynamic and emotion of the thing that you're doing. A negotiation spread might be structured to evoke kind of a tug-of-war dynamic, for example. We really wanted the game to reach beyond the typical skill check and find something more thematically potent and visceral. Furthermore, each quest and encounter card presents a variable for the challenge, so you will never have the same experience twice, based on the challenge, the event, your conduit connections, the current status of your discipline deck, and where your resolve tracks are. Sometimes the quest will tell you where to go or what to do inside the puzzle. Sometimes it will present an additional rule, or maybe it will break one of the rules. Okay, so let's go through a few turns here with no spoilers. There are no turns in Spiritfire. You simply go as far as you can, so you'll note that Diligent Hands, Seek Epiphany, Command the Body, and Clear Conscience, all these cards are still in your capacity from previous actions. You have one Transmutation and one Intensity die actively burning in your pool. You have 4 cards in hand. Let's say you have a quest card here called Solve the Glyph Enigma. You're on the map at the Eternal Library location, and you want to move one space to the Crackling Ruins, here. Moving is one of your 4 resolve actions, which you can perform using any discipline card, so let's play Comprehend the Obscure. 2 things happen. The first is that it triggers your resolve. Since you want to move on the map, you'll use the push action. Currently it's set to 2, so you can move up to 2 spaces. Let's do that. Second, you see if you qualify for the burning effect. The card requires illumination to be burning. This means that you need an orange die in your pool, which you do not have. So this focus 1 effect does not happen. However, you moved on to this diamond node on the map card, which triggers an encounter check. You'll expend 1 spark of life. Here, you drew Spark of Awe. This adds 1 awe die to your pool. Next, you'll check the small die icons at the top of the card. There are 4 here. This means that if you have 4 or more Spiritfire dice burning, an encounter occurs. The more Spiritfire you have burning, the more things are likely to happen to you. In this case, you don't have 4 Spiritfire, so you won't draw an encounter card from the diamond stack. Had you triggered an encounter, it would have been thematically appropriate to the type of location you were at. In this example, all the diamond locations are ancient ruins, and the encounters you have in those locations are specific to that environment. As you do things in the world, the types of encounters in the decks will evolve and change based on your relationship with the world, or ways the world has changed based on your actions. Anyway, so you're at the Crackling Ruins now. Let's check to see if there are any other requirements to completing this quest. You can see from the quest card that you need to have 2 of these rune icons in your milestone track before you're able to proceed. Your milestone track is built by your completed quests and encounters and represents your achievements in the realm or various realm states. A quick glance at your milestone shows that you have 2 leaves and 2 runes, so you're good. You've met the conditions of this quest, which requires you to have 2 rune icons and be at the Crackling Ruins. So, now you can flip this card over. First, you are presented with the next piece of narrative in this quest chain. In some cases, simply having achieved the conditions on the front of the card is sufficient to complete the quest. So after reading the narrative, you immediately resolve the instruction here, which will grant some type of outcome, like a flicker reward or adding this quest to your milestones or the opening of a pack or something like that. In other cases, though, like in this instance, there is yet a challenge you need to overcome to complete this quest. For quests like this, meeting the conditions on the front of the card simply means you can proceed to the attempting of the challenge. In this case, you are attempting to solve a glyph pattern in order to open a door. Now that you've met the conditions to attempt the challenge, you can attempt it as many times as you need to be successful. You may have to leave and come back later, which is often a strong strategy in an open world where some quests might be beyond your abilities when you first come across them. Okay, so you're undertaking this mental challenge that is testing your ability to problem solve. You turn to a challenge in the book that is built to represent problem solving. This quest tells you that your objective is to advance your ring to the end node in the center. So your goal is to move it from the begin node here to this node in the center. You'll place your ring on this begin node. You'll note that the challenges have effects that apply when cards are played into the columns in your capacity. In this case, when you play a discipline card in the left column, you can only move clockwise in the challenge grid. When you play a discipline card in the right column, you can only move counterclockwise. We will need to make note of this. Also, many of the nodes in the challenge grid are all lit with Spirit Fire. This means that the effect inside only takes place if you have that Spirit Fire burning. Sometimes it's a bonus and you want it burning. Sometimes it's a setback and you want to avoid it. In either case, you only trigger the nodes you land on and you never trigger the ones that you simply pass over. To start off here, you need to move counterclockwise. This means that if we intend to use the push or the move action, we must play it into the right column, since the left column only lets us move clockwise, and there's nowhere to go in that direction currently. Now, you don't have to move first. You could play in the left column and take other actions to draw cards or gain Spirit Fire, but let's say you did want to move. Let's play Manifest Fortitude in the right column so that you can move counterclockwise. You can choose to perform your resolve action or your burning effect in whatever order you wish. So in this case, it's advantageous to do the burning effect, which amplifies the resolve action. You qualify for the burning effect by having intensity burning in your pool. Your push marble is set to 2 on your resolve wheel, so normally you'd move 2 spaces when you push, but here you can amplify that result and move 3 spaces instead. Let's do that. Next, let's play Stir the Shadows. You know that you need to focus because you're low on cards in your hand, but let's check the burning ability. It reads, if there are no illumination cards in your capacity, you'd be able to move a burden out of your deck and put it in your discard pile. You would know you have a burden there and that you definitely want it gone. But you do have 3 illumination cards in your capacity, so currently you don't qualify. However, what you could do is perform your resolve action first, selecting the clear action and removing those 3 illumination cards from your capacity, since clear is currently set to 3. Then you could apply the burning effect. So, now that those icons are no longer present, you're able to search for a burden card from your deck, put it into your discard pile so that you don't draw it. Now you don't have to deal with this distracting fascination for a while, at least not until after you rest and shuffle it back into your deck. Okay, so now you're down to 1 card. You'll need to focus on this last card or you'll run out of cards and be forced to rest, which means the challenge would end immediately and all of your Spirit Fire dice would be exhausted. And then you'd have to expend another Spark of Life. Let's play Explode with Vigor into the right column. You qualify for the burning ability, which is 1 intensity, blue, and another Spirit Fire, which can be any color. This burning ability enables you to push 2, which is a separate action from your resolve action. You need to use the focus action or you'll run out of cards, so let's use your resolved action to focus, which allows you to draw 2 cards since the track is set at 2. Then use the burning ability to push 2 spaces counterclockwise. We won't play out the entire challenge here, but you can see that it would take several actions to navigate the various traps and bonuses here and advance your ring to the center of the grid. Had you done so, you'd be able to add this card to your Milestones track, contributing to the realm progression and unlocking new story arcs. So, a couple more observations. If you run out of space in your capacity and cannot play a card there, or if you simply can't play further, say because your hand is depleted, you must rest. This means that all Spirit Fire dice return to the supply, and your discipline deck, your capacity, your discard are all shuffled together and reset. To begin play again, you would expend a Spark of Life, so effectively, resting leads to the burning of Spark. The longer you can maintain balance without needing to rest, the more you will get out of your Spark. You can completely change your deck whenever you rest, but generally speaking, this will usually mean just swapping a few cards out as necessary. You can also swap out your conduits every time you rest, which is really helpful. Many of the encounters are set up to be go as far as you can, meaning that you can end the encounter whenever you want to, if your deck is low on cards or you're willing to forgo the rewards. For example, you may encounter an opportunity to study something or meditate, and how far you choose to lean into that experience is up to you. Other encounters have clear objectives that must be completed to gain or avoid specific outcomes. And then there are bonuses for reaching even further. Quests, on the other hand, always have a clear objective. Some of them are straightforward, but many of them are difficult, and some of them will require tuning your deck once or twice or more in order to overcome them. So that's challenges in a nutshell. All right, one last thing that's important to know with regard to discipline cards and cards in the game in general is their wisdom value, which is denoted as a number on the bottom of the card just above this mental map. Wisdom is the application of knowledge, and this value is a measure of what you've learned. Wisdom plays a handful of roles in your experience. Most importantly, it contributes massively to your end game experience. Once you have depleted your spark of life, you will open the final secret box, which guides your character through an end game that brings closure to their personal journey. Through this final experience, you will also use the wisdom you attained along the way to set up changes and shifts to the game system and character creation process that will affect all of your future characters, representing wisdom that you've passed down through your legacy to everyone who follows. Wisdom plays other roles as well. At many points in the game, you'll be directed to open character packs that contain an array of disciplines, conduits, and spark of life cards. Most of the time, these cards will go into your potential, things you can spend flicker on to unlock later. But sometimes you will be able to draft some of these cards directly into your available cards. Often this means the story will give you a wisdom yield to spend on cards from that pack. Let's say in this case, based on your performance in a challenge, your wisdom yield is 4. You might have a choice between getting a super powerful level 4 conduit or 2 level 2 disciplines that would synergize really nicely in your deck. Or you could choose a level 3 spark of life card and a level 1 discipline. It's up to you to decide what you draft and what is worthy of your spark. Okay, so that's a deeper look at some of the key mechanisms in Spiritfire. Some of the systems outlined here are designed to be highly variable, so experiencing things in one realm will feel very different in another realm. But this should help clarify a little of what's coming with regard to how the game plays at various points. We have more guides on the way, so if you want to subscribe, it'll be easier for you to get notified when those guides release. If we miss something important, or if you have any burning questions, let us know in the comments.